Hello and welcome back to This Week in Formula One. I know, little late. It's not actually me this time. It was Niall. But I'm joined by Niall. How are you doing today?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Thank you. Just living my best life, to be honest.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
I know, literally, we all are. But I mean, we were missing in action last week. So, I mean, we should probably absolutely discuss Max's home race and do a review of that.
Yeah, well,
Give me your thoughts on that.
it looked a bit touch and go for a little while. It did. It wasn't as plain sailing as I thought it might be.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because I took Spa with a bit too much credit, although it appears maybe not. But he's just in a different class, isn't he? I mean, do we start from Lewis really? In talking about handing it to Max on the plate, you've already got Max literally sat on fresher tyres than you, remind you of something,
Yeah, it does.
And that restart was, mate, he overtook him pretty much on the start-finish line.
Yeah.
Halfway down the straight, and Max is already waving at Lewis, going, bye-bye, sucker. And it's just like, making it a little bit too easy for him. But look, take nothing away from Max. I thought he was superb all weekend, and deserved to win. Obviously, he got pole, didn't he? No grid penalties at Zandvoort. He didn't decide to do that. So yeah, it was a good performance from him, and I mean, Monza was just as good for him.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It was definitely, I think, realistically, in the last 3 or 4 races, I've just seen that Red Bull's car is on a different level to like completely everybody else's. And I've started noticing in the last couple of races that Red Bull are actually trialing and testing their new car for next year with Checo. So I think that is very interesting in the level and the vibe that Red Bull are on, that Max has such a good car that they can still trial and test with Checo and still get the points and still keep going. So I think that's
ultimately
very interesting indeed.
Everyone is going to be testing for next season because the regs aren't changing, as far as I'm aware, unless
no, I know.
someone can tell me otherwise. But everyone, every single regulation is staying.
No, 100%. But I feel like the difference between
let me get to my point though. The reason I'm bringing that up though is because Mercedes have literally brought a pile of crap to every single circuit, and whilst they're getting it a little bit better now, it's still nowhere near. I mean, just go look at Spa, alarming seconds off pole, and they're going to have to start with possibly a new concept. I mean, this whole slimline, no side pod design clearly is not worked, to put it politely. So Mercedes could be a whole year behind. Of course, there'll be elements that they're not, but for large parts of it, Mercedes could have a year's worth of data just gone that every other team has. Now, of course, with everyone else, Red Bull, I think we're going to see a period of dominance. As you said, their car really is that good, and coupled that with that, they've probably got the best driver on the grid. Actually, that's not even the debate. They have got the best driver on the grid.
True.
I think we could be in for an era of Schumacher and Hamilton style dominance. And, I joked about Max getting 8 titles. Yeah, of course, things will change and we're getting new engine regulations in 2026. So, of course, that could change things. But in the next 4 years, I mean, Max could have another 4 titles. That puts him on 5.
Yeah.
And that's a level dominance I think we're going to see, and
Yeah.
I don't think any team will be able to catch them. Their power unit is, in my opinion, probably superior to others now. They've got a superior car, and as long as they have Adrian Newey, they should be absolutely fine.
No, I completely agree. But I feel like my point with like Checo is that Red Bull have already started testing to make a better car like halfway through the season, whereas everyone else is still trying to just get through the season and get points because they are struggling. And Mercedes, I don't even know what planet they are on right now because their car has been shocking. And I think for me, especially, for me is that George Russell's in his first season at Mercedes and absolutely smashing it, and in a car that's really not that good and has had top 5 finish, I think, in most races. And Lewis Hamilton, and a 7-time world champion, has not been able to compete with what George Russell, who for me has been an outstanding driver, bearing in mind the situation he has been put in.
Yeah, I mean, Mercedes, they dropped the ball. I mean, last season, they claimed they weren't developing the car or anything. I'm just going to class that as bull because you can't turn up to the last 3 races looking that good through just a brand new power unit. Don't be so ridiculous. So I think they've just dropped the ball on this one. They've come with a new concept that no other team had even thought of, or if they had thought of, decided it was not a good option. I think they've tried, got a bit too big for their boots, may I say? Potentially. Yeah. Potentially they've thought maybe Red Bull have thrown everything into winning the title, that they're going to be off the ball, and Ferrari are never that good anyway. Maybe they thought like that. I don't know. I don't know what could possibly have gone wrong. Because so surely some of the data would have told them the line they were going down was not the right option. And I'm loving to see it because I think they have got a bit too big. And I think a lot of the way that they talk now is remarkable. It is remarkable how things have changed so quickly because, they're talking about how Max dominating is boring for the sport. Are you joking? I'm sorry, I'll accept that from 9 other teams, but I will not accept that comment coming from Toto Wolff and Mercedes. You have no right to tell me or any other Formula One fan what boring domination looks like. We've just seen it for the last 5 years or 6 years or however many years we've seen you dominate the sport for. The hypocrisy is brought to whole new levels because he certainly wasn't saying that 2 years ago. He certainly wasn't questioning the viewing or how entertaining one race was. So it's quite sudden that it's now all about the show when it wasn't a few years ago. But that's just my little rant on him.
No, but I think you're quite right though. I think you're quite right in the fact that we've had Lewis dominate for the last near enough 7 seasons, for him to win 7 of those seasons in a row, for the conversation to then be disrespected like that because Max is dominating. What? Because it's not Lewis Hamilton dominating anymore. That's such a shame. That's a shame. And I think Toto Wolff is just full of hypocrisy. What? Because he's not winning, because he doesn't have a winning car. Thing is, though, they've literally gone from the 21 season where actually they were doing.
Best.
Yeah, they were literally competing for a title, Lewis and Max competition, to coming in this season and literally not having a good enough car to get Lewis Hamilton up into the top 5, let alone top 10.
And on this one, Lanty, I reckon even an anti-tank missile probably doesn't stop Verstappen at the moment. I mean, that's complete BS, but go for it. Well done for winning the game, Valve.
What do you think of this comment? I just
That's what happens when you let football Twitter.
Lanzi says all domination is boring unless it's the driver I support. Don't make the rules.
Do you know what? I agree with Lanzi to a degree, but even I would sit there. Let's say right now, yeah, I'm loving every race, but is every race entertaining? No. Do I know?
It's literally just.
Do I know the winner of every race?
Yes.
You know,
we know Max.
It's very predictable.
Unless there is an accident.
But no, not even that doesn't make it entertaining, because even Max has proven from
what I mean is
from Max on 14th in the grid is still just overtaking everyone.
No. But I meant if there's like a crash or an accident that takes him out, that's the only reason I see him not winning. I literally don't see anything stopping him.
Even then, I still reckon he wins on a freaking push bike at this rate. I mean, the man is a machine. the man is a genuine machine. I seen Valve. I thought it was fate, to be honest.
What about this? Can't argue with the booing of Max, though. Sadly, the best drivers will always get booed. Vettel and Hamilton had it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, let them. I mean, it doesn't. Max doesn't really care.
And he'd still win.
Still laps.
We all know that, he'd still win as well.
Still laps Latifi in a Fiat 500.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the booing it's just standard. He's always going to get it, especially in Britain. He'll naturally get booed at Silverstone, and probably, dare say, a couple of other places. Brazil's quite favourable to Lewis as well. Freaking God knows why, but they seem to have a love affair with.
Yeah, I know. I think.
Well, they've got that love affair of Senna and all of that. I mean, I don't even know how that began, but yeah, I mean, he'll probably get booed at Brazil. But then, it swings in roundabouts, because the likes of Lewis will get booed at Zandvoort and Austria. Do I agree that we're booing drivers now? No, not really. I mean, I don't boo other drivers. It's not my mentality.
I don't have time to boo. I just don't care enough about them.
Yeah, I mean, let them. But yeah, it all swings in roundabouts. But I guess with how the sport has become more popular, it naturally has brought these idiots along with them. But you get them in, football mainly, and a lot of football.
This is an interesting comment. I think Nick was a bit overhyped this weekend. He got P9 with numerous people having grid penalties in a Williams, which is immense on the straights. Good performance. I'm not going to lie. I actually thought Nick, bearing in mind that he was told 45 minutes before he was about to do the day before, 45 minutes before he was about to get into his car, he literally got told he was going to be racing in F1. And I think he actually did quite a good performance, bearing in mind which car he was in. I absolutely disagree a little bit there. I think he did a good job for what he was given.
For me, of course, defending is a little easier. Obviously, I've seen from Latifi's comments, defending at Monza is a little bit easier, especially if you can get in a DRS train, which naturally you will see, and I'm sure F1 will at some point need to deal with. But yeah, I thought Nick de Vries did a very good job. Kept at least another 11 drivers behind him, so he must have done something right. And personally, I thought he gave a really good account for himself. And with Alex Albon obviously leading the team, you do question who gets the number 2 sort of seat. And Dalton have always said that the finances are not an issue. So it makes you wonder if they can sacrifice Latifi's money for going to get a much more exciting driver lineup. Because I think a lineup of Alex Albon and Nick de Vries is a lineup for Williams that boosts them above Haas.
That is a lineup if
you can deliver them a decent car, they'll get the best out of it. Alex has proven that, this season. Nick is an F2 champion. Let's not disrespect the lad. So, yeah, I think I think if anything, this weekend would have been really helpful for Nick de Vries by saying to Williams, going, well, look at me, I've managed to come in. Latifi's been here for however many races, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to show you what I can do. So if anything, I don't think it was overhyped at all. I think it was. I personally think he's made a very good account for himself for getting the Williams seat.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I feel like Albon this season, I was gutted for Albon. Obviously, I hope he has a great recovery because obviously there were some complications. But I think he had some great races this season. He's really stood out for me, and he's kind of my one that I've just been keeping an eye out and just slowly watching him like thrive and progress. But him and Nick together as a team, I think if Williams start getting their car a little better off and maybe get it a bit better, I think that is a good team. I think you're completely right. I think Latifi needs to be sacrificed for Williams to get anywhere. Because
to be fair, Lancy does back up on my comment here. Latifi did say it was easier to defend, and he did lose 5 places in the race, whereas Nick started 9th and finished 9th. So it's one of them really. Look, Latifi is just finished.
But just to clarify, if Latifi had started at 9th, he would have finished in the 20th.
Oh yeah, for sure. I didn't say de Vries was bad. I said a little overhyped. DRS trainer Monza is comfortable to defend. He should be in that Williams next year, though. I completely agree. Williams hopefully will take the sporting decision and let Latifi go. Yeah, I mean, of course, this will upset many people who, I don't know why they all support Latifi. I guess they just feel bad for the guy or something, because it can't be on any sporting merit.
Oh no, agreed.
But as I've said, we've let a bunch of footballers or football fans, the Twitter lot, join F1. So of course we're getting a few of the interesting opinions, to say the least. But mad.
No, I completely agree. Kenny says, "Think Verstappen will easily win. Battle for second is interesting, though." I guess it is. I mean, what did you think about Monza? Like, let's have a little review of Monza, I suppose.
Well, Max had a good penalty, and Max won the race. It was.
I mean, that was basically the whole race. I think that's discussion over for Monza. Really, that was the best part of it.
That's the race.
Sorry,
I mean,
the man went from 14th to 3rd in 8 laps. That's embarrassing. That's actually embarrassing.
He won 14th, was he?
Yes, he was 14th.
Not in Monza, he wasn't. That was like Spa. Monza, he was like 7th. Did you even watch the race?
Long day, I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure he qualified 2nd, had like a 5-place grid penalty, so I had to go 7th.
Yeah, you're right.
And then Sky were trying to mess around and say, oh, with all of the things, he'll go to 4th. And then I'm pretty sure Michael Massey put he sent out like a couple of years ago, and said your penalty, if you get deducted down to like 7th, you will not finish. You will not start above 7th. You will start 7th. Maximum.
Yeah, I know.
So it's 7th. He got
7th. He was 7th, but like he went through that grid.
A quick review of Monza. You've got Red Bull just absolutely smashing it. Russell just doing Russell type things and doing a decent job. And then you've got Nick de Vries just putting Nicholas Latifi in a little box and saying, go back to Canada, or Canada, whatever they do.
I'm not going to lie to you.
And good. It's about time people do rip into Latifi.
Yeah, literally.
Because, like, I'm sorry, the man's got a free one.
Paddling over it. Like, there's been so much niceness and, like,
Reckon Mika Hakkinen ends his sabbatical and joins Williams. I mean,
my God, I've heard this. This isn't the first time I've heard this.
Charl, don't make yourself look like a twat. There is no way Mika Hakkinen. I can assure you, considering that Mika Hakkinen was last famous in like 1998, I can assure you
I'm
he's
just saying, I've heard this.
There's a better chance of Kimi Räikkönen coming back than Mika Hakkinen.
I know that. I mean,
cool to see.
Kimi was at Monza, you know. You never know. Maybe Williams had some secret discussions, you know. Hello.
I don't think Merc can compete. Not with what I'm hearing of obviously Red Bull looking like they're going to bring a brand new chassis, which is like, you know, apparently they've dropped kilograms off. Like,
yeah,
it's gonna get peak. Latifi always gets pity. It is like pity votes. Yeah, man ain't a rookie anymore. Like, man is not a rookie. Like, we cannot.
He's not. We can't be like pity partying all the time. We've got someone needs to be like, look, you're awful. You have been awful for a while. Like, you haven't done anything good or constructive since you came from F2. So please go back to F2.
Actually, no, I don't think you should go back to F2. You should just leave the sport.
Yeah.
You know, F2 isn't like, you know, the championship. F2 is for a young and up and coming stars.
Yeah.
If you don't make it in F1, you ain't going back into F2.
Literally.
Yeah. Although I can see potentially at some point there having to be like potentially a second division. If we could ever get enough teams, you'd need we've got 10 teams now, so we would need at least 20 teams to make it a 2-division thing.
Yeah.
You know, which I suppose would be quite cool to watch. I suppose maybe, I don't know, maybe add more drivers.
It depends how it.
That every team has, but they're trying to bring a cost cap down. So why would they do that? I don't know. But it would be quite cool to see like a championship like F1 and F2, but F2 being like the championship, and then having like a feeder series for that would be pretty cool, and it would open up many more spaces for many more drivers, because like drivers like Callum Ilott, Nick De Vries should already be on the grid already, and that shouldn't already be a debate. So, you know, I would be in favor of having more drivers and more teams, and having even like a championship version, but then logistical, it wouldn't even be that difficult because you just have an extra race per. It'd be great for fans though. You just have like F2 starting in like the normal time it does, and then just add more racing, which I think will be great for the fans as well. But when they're trying to do like a cost cap and that, it'd be tough.
Yeah.
Latifi
agree.
is a well-behaved Mazepin. Well, of recent, I'm going to have to disagree with that comment. Mazepin was more well-behaved than Latifi, and go ask Bottas, and then rewatch Spa. PSG conceded to a team who haven't scored a UCL goal in 10 years. PSG are losing.
PSG in the muds.
Well, look, they are a prestigious team. I'm not talking about PSG. Latifi should be a HGV driver. He will find his pace there. He might get. He'll probably be a little too late. But Monza was Monza. I mean, it should always be on the calendar. It should always be on the calendar. We need to fix these DRS trains, though. I will say that much. We need to absolutely fix these DRS trains. They need to come up with like a plan, an idea. I don't know how they'll do it or what they'll do, but they need to come up with a plan, which I think would be really important. But it should always be on the calendar along with Silverstone and Spa. You know, those three for me are non-negotiables. Any other track is pretty much up for negotiation, apart from maybe Barcelona, maybe Catalonia. But I wouldn't say that we've got the fact that we do pre-season testing at Catalonia makes it that we probably race there as well. But yeah,
it would be rude not to. It would be rude to like test, but not race.
Do a bit of testing at Bahrain as well. So that's another one that I actually and Bahrain normally brings some entertaining racing. And it's also my favorite. It's also my favorite track, straight after Silverstone, because it's just so good to drive. I do love Bahrain, but yeah, non-negotiables. But Monza should always be there, but we need to fix these DRS trains because it does affect the racing. But some people are saying remove DRS, where it's like, well, then you're just going to get DRS trains all the time. And then when you have DRS, you get DRS trains. So we need to come up with a plan or a boost button. I don't know, but then you'll get people saying, oh, don't tamper it because you're tampering with the sport. It's a minefield out there with Formula One. And with all these new fans who are going to be like, show me entertainment, Formula One are going to have to try and deliver that somehow. So it's going to be a nightmare for
I mean, Vegas next year is going to be very interesting.
Yes.
A street race.
Yeah. Another street race. I'm starting to get a little sick of these street races now. 1 or 2 or 3 is fine. If we had and I won't class Albert Park or Canada as street races, even though they are essentially street races, but I won't class those two. Azerbaijan, Monaco, and Miami. I'm happy to have a discussion about Monaco. I'm happy to, if you want to replace Monaco with Vegas and have Vegas, Azerbaijan, and Miami, I'm down with that. I'm down with that.
But it needs to just be 3.
But I don't want 4, 5, 6, especially with how big these cars are, how boring some street races can be. And also, I think at that rate, at that point, we risk, some of these tracks that have been there for a long time. The likes of, Silverstone, Monza, Spa should never even be up for a discussion. But for somehow, Spa's up for discussion. I mean, I don't think so. It best not be. I'll be furious if it is. So, there's a lot of that, and don't forget we've got Jeddah as well. I've again just forgot about Jeddah. So that we've already got 4. I'm sure I'm missing another one somewhere, but Jeddah. But Jeddah is good. We've had 2 races at Jeddah, and they've both been good races. So I'm down with Jeddah, but I mean, just got to be wary of some of these street circuits because I think we lose a little bit from some of these traditional circuits that I don't think a street circuit can replicate.
Literally.
And I think we just got to be very careful with the direction.
Which we're taking.
I don't want to say no to any street circuits. I think that would be unreasonable. But it would be good to see some more purpose-built circuits. Don't forget Austin, Texas, prime example. Purpose-built for Formula One is a fantastic race and is a fantastic circuit.
I can't wait for Texas.
It would be good to see some more, purpose-built circuits as well.
But if they're going to purpose-built, I would rather a purpose-built circuit than a street race. If I'm honest, if Vegas decided to do a purpose-built, I'd be happy to have Vegas.
No, because the reason Vegas can't do it as like a purpose-built is because they're doing it down the strip, and basically, it's just a huge PR stunt for Formula One having probably the start-finish line down the strip of Vegas. That's what they'll be doing. But no, I've no issues with Vegas. I do think we just need to be careful with adding more street circuits because, the circuit's Miami, street circuit, Jeddah, street circuit, Vegas, street circuit. I'm just getting a little bit alarmed. We're seeing a little too many street circuits. But I just, as I say, think we lose something from a more traditional circuit like a Silverstone, like a Monza, like a Spa that I don't think you can get on a street circuit. Tradition. I don't know. it's a tough one, but I'm just saying, calm it down with the street circuits.
No, I completely agree. I feel like we don't want them getting out of control, because sometimes the OG circuits can bring the best action and the best racing.
Golf carts round one would be an interesting one.
That would be. Unpopular opinion, Jeddah is a good circuit. People just have an issue with the location.
Yes, and yes, and I have every right to have it. I think Jeddah is a good circuit. Yes, I think people have an issue with the location, and yes, I think people have every right to have an issue with the location. So there's my three yeses. I'm going a bit like Daniel Bryan there. Yes. Yes, Jeddah is a good circuit. Yes, I have an issue with the location, and yes, people can have an issue with the location. Saudi Arabia haven't exactly got the greatest human rights record in the world.
Yeah.
And before anyone starts, but the British pipe down. I know we're not perfect either, but we have
so great.
Standards.
We do have a few standards.
Well,
I mean, we could talk about America. We could talk about America as well and their standards, but we won't go into that. Yeah. But moving on very swiftly. I think everybody in the world has probably seen the clip of Daniel Ricciardo saying that he is going to take a year's break. Can I get your thoughts on that? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Is he going to come back? Is this, because for me, and I'm going to be quite blunt and honest here, for the last four seasons, he's been rubbish. He's not been up to standard. He's not been up to par.
I'm gonna jump in and save you. I'm gonna jump in and save you from making yourself look like a twat again. His time at Renault, you cannot say he was crap. His time at Renault was absolutely fantastic. His time at McLaren has been very underwhelming. And look, we've all sat here going, I feel very sorry for Daniel. And yes, I do feel very sorry for Daniel, and I, unlike Lando, can sympathise with him losing his job. Probably because I'm not competing against Daniel, to be fair. But I do think he'll have to take a year out. I think, Alpine are very much looking down the Gasly route, trying to get him from AlphaTauri. It shouldn't be too difficult. I wouldn't imagine it will be too difficult getting Pierre Gasly out of AlphaTauri. Especially considering there's the clause in his contract that says if a team finishes above AlphaTauri, come in for Pierre Gasly will be automatically allowed to speak to them. Therefore, there'll be definitely no issues contractually to try and get that. The deal will be trying to get Pierre Gasly on personal terms, which, again, I don't think should be a major problem. I do think we'll see Pierre Gasly at Alpine. That then leaves a space up at AlphaTauri, which I think will go to probably Liam Lawson in F2 or something like that. Red Bull, AlphaTauri, they're the Red Bull feeder team. It'll be another youngster, and they'll be thrown in to see if they can handle it, which would be interesting. If not, if they don't think anyone is ready, AlphaTauri or Red Bull may look at an olive branch at Daniel Ricciardo for one season, which would possibly suit all parties if we're being fair. Because if, let's for example say Liam Lawson isn't ready in F2, I don't know, I haven't watched much F2. I've watched a fair bit of F3, but not F2. I don't know, is he ready or is he not? I haven't watched him, to be honest. But if Red Bull decide he's not ready and needs another season in F2, then maybe AlphaTauri and Red Bull look at Daniel Ricciardo and go, look, we need someone to drive for a year. You know what we're about. You probably know some of the guys that are still in the team. Do you want to come and drive for us a year? Look, we don't want any long-term commitment. We know that that's not what we're after from you. But would you want to take a year in? Maybe, it'll be a machine that Daniel knows a bit better. Maybe they look at that as that, but I do think Ricciardo will have to take a year out, or it's looking like he'll have to go to AlphaTauri or maybe Haas. It's not completely over for him, but it has to be the right option. The reason I say AlphaTauri probably have a better chance than Haas is probably because AlphaTauri would be looking at a 1-year deal. It wouldn't be something you wouldn't want to be tying Daniel Ricciardo down to a 3-year or 4-year deal with AlphaTauri.
It's definitely a year at a time kind of thing. It's a year thing and see how that progresses.
It's literally just a year thing. It's literally a drive for the team for one season. Sort of show yourself, maybe showcase a bit better, put yourself out there a bit better, and see what you can do for a year. And maybe he would take that. It's still a lucrative. It's still one of the 20 F1 seats that are available every year, and my God, I'm sure many of us would die for an F1 seat. So he'd probably take it if AlphaTauri offer him something. Haas look like they may be going down the Hulkenberg route. There's not many spaces available. Williams are looking at replacing Latifi, pretty sure of that. But who are they replacing him with? There's talks of Jack Doohan, I think he's one of their youth academy drivers or Mercedes, I don't know, one or two. He looks like he could be in with a chance of getting a seat. Or Nick De Vries. Nick De Vries obviously did a very good job, but you've already got Alex Albon, who isn't he is Williams driver, but he's not sort of, for me, Williams cloth, shall I say, in terms of young driver academy. So would you want to have Alex Albon with Nick De Vries? Does that matter? Does it matter that you don't get them long term? I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of questions at Williams and how they want to progress. Do they want to put one of their own guys in there to see how they do, being the fact they'll probably be the cheaper option? Because if I look at the wages of a Nick De Vries compared to maybe one of the Williams Driver Academy kids, I can imagine one of Williams Driver Academy lads are probably cheaper than Nick De Vries as well. So there's a lot of it. There's a few spaces available, not many for Daniel Ricciardo though, and that's the issue. I think the only one of the spaces that I've just said are available are AlphaTauri if Gasly goes, if not Alpine. They're the only two seats I can see him potentially even going to. I don't think Haas will go for him.
No,
I don't think Williams could afford him, and I think it'd be a ridiculously stupid idea from Williams. And I think
especially with Alpine, Williams potential.
It's either Alpine or AlphaTauri, one or two.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. They are the only two that he could go to. But I think we'll have to...
yes, Magnussen and Hulkenberg. What could possibly go wrong? Fair bit.
I think we'll have to see in a year's time, because a lot can change in a year.
That's why. And I didn't touch on this when I was talking about Daniel Ricciardo. I think the reason he's wanting a 1-year deal is because there's a lot of seats that open up in 2023. Lewis's seat opens up in 2023. I don't think any of the Ferrari seats do. I think they're both tied down.
Yeah.
Checo's seat, I think, is up in 20. Is that up in 20?
Is it 24?
It might be 23 or 24. One or
it's
two.
It's either 23 or 24, but it is
up. But
I think it's 23.
Okay,
I think it's 23 because I remember saying that he's got a next season. He's got next season with Max, and then I think it's done.
Right. So you've got Red Bull opening up. You've got Mercedes opening up. You'll have McLaren will be tied down. Why would you go back to McLaren? Why am I even saying that? Alpine probably opens up. I think Ocon's contract runs out in 23. AlphaTauri probably also has some opening. There's some big openings in 2023, but then are Mercedes going to go for a Daniel Ricciardo? I don't think so. I think that would be pretty dumb. I can see a Nick De Vries at Mercedes. I could see that maybe. It'll be really interesting to see, because all of these teams have got their main driver. Red Bull with Verstappen, Ferrari with Leclerc, Mercedes with George Russell, McLaren with Lando. Alpine appears to be going for the Ocon route. They've all picked their star driver. It's the interesting and the bit that I'm most intrigued about watching is who they pair this lot up with. So who do you pair with a Max Verstappen? Who do you pair with a Charles Leclerc? And I think at some point we're going to see some weird moves where you'll see like a Carlos Sainz going from like Ferrari to Mercedes. I think we could be potentially going down that route because the drivers are coming in so young and they're getting some of these big calls straight away. I reckon you could see something weird like a Carlos Sainz driving for, dare I say, even Red Bull. I think we could be about to go into. I'm going into full blown silly mode there, but there's a lot of movement in the window in 2023, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, Charles loving life, right?
Yeah, no, sorry, no, I think for me, I think 2023 is going to be a really big, interesting window because, like you've said, so many big, and I think for me, the biggest seat, obviously, Lewis Hamilton's seat, obviously, is one of the biggest that's going to open up. Like, who takes his space? Like, I feel like I'm really worried that he'll want to renew it, but I don't think Mercedes will go for that. I think his performance this season hasn't helped him. I don't think the performance is going to get any better next season. But I think that he still wants title number 8.
I think he realizes now that title 8, unless by some miracle, and I mean this by some miracle, they get a car competitive next year. I think 8th title is gone. I think his chance to get his 8th was last year, and he bottled it.
So, yeah, I completely agree.
I mean, who lets Max pass him there? It was ridiculously easy for Max, and don't give me safety car and procedures. He let Max pass. It was quite pathetic defending from Lewis.
I think also like this season, Max has gone past Lewis more times than he did in Abu Dhabi, but we won't.
It was when he got lapped. It was when he got lapped at Imola.
Yeah, that was a beautiful moment.
That was nice. That just hits differently. It hit differently.
It really did. I think that was very interesting to see. But I think what?
I said Charl likes to be hit differently. Right, moving on.
Losing the secrets. But yes,
Penny,
I mean,
you're in for a shot here, mate.
We've got like a little, we've got a little break before obviously we head to Singapore.
Singapore, yes, I'm very excited for Singapore.
I am excited because obviously last year it didn't happen.
Correct. I'm really excited, and the reason that I'm excited is because apparently, and this is only apparently,
okay,
Red Bull are bringing a new chassis which weighs 10 kilograms, which in F1 is about 29 trucks being lifted off your shoulders. 10 kilograms coming off that car. Everyone else said it was unfeasible. It was a stupid one. There is no way anyone could ever get to the maximum weight for the car. Well, it may appear that Red Bull have actually got there. And if that's the case, oh my life, that Red Bull is going to be even quicker then, because it's going to be 10 freaking kilograms lighter. And that, I'm afraid, is not a short-term fix. I'm afraid, especially with how Red Bull have done it, there is no way those secrets will be getting out of Red Bull if they're onto something. So this is something that I think might again, it just
be the
adds with the
beginning of the
dominance.
end.
It just adds with the dominance that we'll see, I think, for probably the next four years, or this one included, so 3 years, up until the new engine regs. I think we'll probably see dominance from Red Bull, but hopefully it can be close dominance. Ferrari there or thereabouts, like they've been this season. There's just no time.
I completely agree. I think the 10 kilograms being taken off is absolutely incredible, and I think that if this is the case, like they absolutely, it's going to be a game changer, and I think they will have absolutely nailed down any secrets getting out, because if they're onto this, they don't want anyone to know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think also that if this is the case in Singapore, everyone else might as well just not bother turning up to the race, if I'm really honest.
Yeah, it's certainly,
it's going to be embarrassing. It's not even like everyone thought, if this is the case, everyone thought Max was bad now, like as with his dominance. Like his dominance was wait until Singapore and he's 10 kilograms lighter in a car. Well, I'm sorry, he'll be lapping people twice before we even get halfway through. Lewis will have been lapped twice before he's even made his first pit stop.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great for anyone who isn't a Max fan. For us Super Max fans, we're in for a great time. I've enjoyed my last 3 races. Don't know about you lot, but
the last 3 races have been rich. You know what? They've been really calm, tranquil, peaceful.
Yeah,
enjoyable.
Max has started with grid penalties in 2 of those.
I know, and I haven't been stressed. I haven't been like shouting at the telly. It's been really nice. I've just been taking it chill, knowing that Max is going to win every race, just like he's going to win this race, just like he won especially with these big changes coming in for Red Bull. Like you thought Red Bull's dominance had already started. This is literally just the beginning.
Oh yeah. No, I completely agree. It's interesting times for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I think that if these other teams can't get to where Red Bull are at, I think the beginning of next season is going to be very, very interesting for a hell of a lot of teams. And I think, even the end of this season, I think it's going to be an absolute hellhole, because like the amount of weight that they're taking off is so big. Especially in F1 terms, like it's huge.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I think that it's going to make such a difference. And if they've hit this with the nail on the head, like we think they have, it is going to be absolutely a crazy, like it's going to make such a difference. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it as well. Like, I'm just looking forward to Max, like waving past Lewis as he drives past, waving past Leclerc as he drives past, and then on the second time, like doing a number 2, like peace out, peace out. This is the second time I've seen you today. Probably won't be the last. Yeah. I mean, he'll run out of fingers after the 10th lap that he's lapped them. So I can't really, not enough fingers. So just have to wave at them like, hi again. Hi, friend. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm just looking forward to seeing Max continue to thrive and obviously dominate.
Absolutely. That was all a bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, just one more question for you.
No life.
Do you think anyone's
You're
going
lucky
to take
I'm not paid by the minute.
Do you think anyone's going to take a grid penalty at Singapore?
Yes. What a
if so, who?
Probably.
No. Anyone in particular?
God knows.
Do you think Ferrari?
No, I don't. I don't think Red Bull. I can. Do you know what? I'll safely say one thing. I don't think Red Bull, unless it's for Checo, Max will not take a penalty. That Max and Charles definitely won't take penalties. Maybe Carlos might not either. That's my prediction. Okay. Definitely neither Max or Charles will take grid penalties. And the reason I'm so confident on that one is Max has taken enough to save himself for at least a few more races, as has Charles. And also, Singapore is definitely not where you'd be looking at taking that. Austin is where you'd be looking to take your next grid penalty.
Yes.
Or if you're Max Verstappen, anywhere, mate.
Yeah. I think, it's going to be a very good race, and I'm looking forward to seeing the new car in action. I think it's going to be
supposedly.
Well, I'm kind of really hoping it's true.
They've been a bit quiet on the old development fund.
I know.
So we shall
but
see.
I think quiet's always good,
Yes. No, definitely.
No news is always good news, as they say.
Oh, definitely.
But yes, that is it, guys. We have, Niall has given you a lot of information to take in. Charlotte's just sat there and listened and taken it all in too. But we are going to be back next week for a little preview of Singapore. Is it next week we have to do preview? I don't know. Yes, it is.
Don't think so.
Is it not next week? Is it the week after?
It might be.
Oh, it's the week after. Do you know what? I'm not really a fan of these breaks, Oh, I know why. It's because one of the races got taken out. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right, brains into gear now. But yes.
It would be the Russian Grand Prix next.
Yes. But yes, we will be back next week for a lovely little roundup. I'm sure there'll be plenty of drama that aspires before next week. It is F1. I'm sure we will find something. But now, let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Niall_PAFC, and that's about as far. That's about the only place you'll find me, and on pretty much all social media, which is called Sport Hub or Sport Hub Live or Sport Hub UK.
So make sure you please smash the like button.
And we changed our logo for the Queen's death, so we made it black and white, which I thought was pretty cool of us.
Yes, but make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We do memberships, which go from 99p to $12.99. So if you haven't already, join the membership team. You get early access to videos. You get lots of cool emojis and that. And there is more stuff coming in the works. So make sure you tune in for that. And also, if you haven't already, there is a link in the bio for merchandise. If you haven't already, what are you doing with your life? Just saying.
Should be able to see it, to be fair, down just below. You should be able to see. You should be able to see. You can order yourself a mug. I'm going to get myself one too.
Oh, a little mug, a little cup, a little hoodie, a little t-shirt, whatever you wanted.
Yeah, but you can even get a baby grow, I think. So if there's any of you that are single mothers or single parents who you need to dress your kid out looking after you, so Sport Hub Baby Grow is the place to go.
And on that note, it's been an absolute pleasure. Oh my God. On that note, guys, make sure you smash the like button and we will see you next week.